This is the Mad Scientist Memo. The Mad Scientist Memo. Here we go.
What is your gut feeling about today, Shreya?
You know what? Something feels a little bit different, don't you think?
I think so. And for the first time ever, the Mad Scientist Memo has its official guest. Introducing to you, actually, may I direct all of your attention, all of your dhyan to Dhyan.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've always been here.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
You just haven't been paying enough attention.
Oh no.
No way. Wow. Okay, Dhyan. So, how are you feeling today? What is up?
I don't know. I have a weird feeling in my gut. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes.
Certainly, I think we shall dedicate an entire episode to the cause of talking about gut microbiome.
And Dhyan's weird feeling.
So, I think we should do the introduction. Welcome everybody to the Mad Scientist Memo. I'm your co-host Zahra,
And I'm Shreya.
and today with our guest Dhyan, we're going to be deep diving into the absolute crazy ways in which our gut microbiome impacts not just our gut, and not just our functioning as a human being, but also so much of who we are as an individual.
It's absolutely crazy because there are so many systemic effects of what is going on in your tiny little gut that you can't even fathom. You genuinely cannot even imagine that all of this impacted by just a few bacteria living inside your stomach, right?
A few bacteria, Shreya.
Mm.
I think that's a good place to start. Tell us about why, Dhyan, this topic in particular excited you.
I think this topic in particular excited me a lot because did you know that the gut bacteria is more you than you? There's more gut bacteria in your body than there are human cells. So technically, I think the gut bacteria is you and you are just a host it lives inside.
That is a crazy take to have.
But I think that's the only fair way to put it because, yes, there are more cells. There's more than one bacterial cell living in your gut microbiome than the number of human cells you have, which is an absolute, like you said, it's crazy to even fathom that. So let's start off, right? What are the multiple ways or the multifacets in which the gut microbiome affects you?
So the gut bacteria affects every physiological process in your body, but mainly affects 5 very important domains. That's metabolism, everything to do with digestion and absorption in your body. Then there's mucus production in your gut, which is very important. It keeps in keeping your gut healthy. And of course, you have the gut-brain axis, very widely being researched upon right now. Very interesting topic. It could affect how you live your everyday life. So I think it's something that could get the people in. Of course, you also have the gut-heart axis and the gut-bone axis, which is very interesting and not widely researched upon, but it could impact your daily life a lot.
Okay, so let's go one by one, shall we? Tell me about the gut metabolism. Action.
So there's this bacteria living inside your gut. It's called Facilibacterium prausnitzii. It and its close relatives, Bacteroides and Clostridium, what they do is they help in digesting complex, undigestible carbohydrates that your body wouldn't have used otherwise, like your fibers. That's why the doctors keep telling you eat your fibers. They also digest things like peptides and amino acids, which you have excess of because you're eating all that protein.
Yeah.
So they use that to make something very important called short chain fatty acids. These are butyrate, propionate, and acetate. You're probably confused. What are short chain fatty acids? I think these can be summarized as very important metabolites or substances that these bacteria produce, which affect all the other physiological processes in your body. Like these short chain fatty acids can reduce inflammation in your body. So even just consuming a little bit of fiber can help you feel a lot better.
Okay, I think that obviously there's so much gravity to understanding that. So you said moving forward, the other things like gut heart axis, for example, take us through how your gut microbiome affects the functioning of your heart.
So obviously the short chain fatty acids again.
Okay.
Those do something called reduce the atheroinflammatory response. This is very important in reducing atherosclerosis. You probably heard of atherosclerosis.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a plague in your blood vessels.
Yes.
This can cause many heart diseases, long term or short term. So what this bacteria does is produce these short chain fatty acids, which reduces the inflammatory response, which thereby helps your body maintaining or preventing the atherosclerosis. It also does a very important thing. It reduces the cholesterol levels in your body. It does this by 4 methods. Now these are a bit complicated, so I'm going to take you through them slowly. One is through bile salt hydrolase. Very important. It's an enzyme produced by the bacteria. What it basically does is it helps you recycle the bile in your body. Bile helps you digest your fats and other things. So whatever excess cholesterol is there, it helps you recycle that in your body. That's very important. Another very important, very easy way, the cholesterol can be used in the bacteria itself. It uses it to make its plasma membrane. So it just absorbs the cholesterol back. It uses it, you don't get cholesterol. It's a win-win. Another way is reducing it to something called coprestanol. Coprestanol is very easily excreted. So the cholesterol doesn't end back in your blood, it's just excreted through your stool. And the most important of all, it does something called down-regulating the gene expression of lipid synthesis in your liver. So basically what it does is reduce cholesterol synthesis. It's very easy to understand. It reduces cholesterol synthesis directly. So through these methods, it reduces cholesterol levels in your body, thereby reducing any cardiovascular diseases that you could develop.
Okay, that's a lot for the heart.
Yeah.
And a lot that it does to support that sort of intrinsic cardiac functioning.
Yeah, so going on this trail of, oh my god, the gut microbiome affects so much of our normal physiology and impacts our normal functioning. You also did mention the gut bone axis. Tell us, Dhyan, how does your gut microbiome have an effect on your bone composition?
So there's this bacteria. Its name is Lactobacillus reuteri. Very, very important. So its cell wall has something called peptidoglycans. It also releases a substance called insulin-like growth factor, and of course short-chain fatty acids. We've already talked about these. These three substances are very important. What they do is prevent bone breakdown. It's a regular physiological process in your body. Bone breaks down so that calcium levels can go in your blood and new bone can be formed. But what this bacteria does is prevent the excessive bone breakdown.
Okay.
So it keeps your bones healthy. It also does something new. It's called Wnt signaling or Wnt signaling. What it basically does is converts stem cells to osteoblasts. So this osteoblast helps in new bone formation. So through this Wnt signaling, which these short chain fatty acids, peptidoglycans, and insulin growth factors activate, it can help produce new bones in your body. So through this, Lactobacillus reuteri helps in keeping your bones healthy. In fact, there was a recent study where they found that Lactobacillus reuteri strains can help prevent osteoporosis.
Damn. Okay. You know, the gut bone axis is something that I was very, very, very taken aback from. Like hearing that this concept exists and there is so much, obviously, so much like pertinence to it and importance and viability in the scientific industry, especially if they are basing off like future clinical methods and trials off of it. Did you expect that, or was that even in the realm of your knowledge?
Absolutely not. It's very new to me as well, and I'm fascinated. Another thing that fascinates me is this very same bacteria that you mentioned, Lactobacillus reuteri. I've also read another article about it, about how it's called the empathy bug. Essentially, it upregulates oxytocin in our body, and oxytocin is known to be like a bonding hormone or cuddling hormone. So essentially, this bacteria, if it's, like you said, present in the gut, what that means is, of course, it has all these amazing effects on your bone, but apparently it also, in terms of personality, it gives you those, or it accentuates those behavioral traits of being empathetic through this effect it has on oxytocin, which is crazy to even think about, that one tiny organism has so many multifaceted effects.
I know. So the next time your friend is sort of disrupting your personal space bubble and trying to force a hug upon you, don't take it too hard on them. It's just
their bacteria.
Yeah.
It's just their gut microbiome.
So this Lactobacillus reuteri not only helps in making you tall, but also gives you a good personality.
oh.
Sounds like something you should be giving your boyfriend.
Take us to the other few axes that the gut microbiome affects.
So another important one, not a lot of people talk about this, the gut mucus production. It helps in producing a mucin layer across your gut. So the gut mucin layer is very important. As you know, the digestive enzymes can corrode your gut, can intensely affected. But the gut mucin layer protects that. It also helps in passage of food and also helps in preventing the microbes from going across that gut. So what a bacteria called Lactobacillus rhamnosus I3690 does is it upregulates the gene expression of differentiation in goblet cells as well as mucus production in goblet cells. So
Alright.
this helps in increasing the mucus production, improving the mucin layer, and of course it has a benefit for the gut bacteria as well. It can be used as a nutrition source.
For the gut bacteria itself.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win for the bacteria as well, and for you also.
Yeah. Look at that.
So we talked about the five axes essentially, along which the gut microbiome affects all these different functioning of a human being. But what about its effects on things like your personality traits and your social life? Did you know that there is this theory that the diversity of your gut microbiome affects how extroverted you are or the size of your social circle? Did you know that? That's absolutely crazy, because obviously we put down traits like how extroverted a person is, to their personality, circumstances they grew up in, kind of people they grew up seeing, and all those things have an impact. But apparently your gut microbiome also has, or your diversity of your gut microbiome also has an impact. And how this works is because the more diverse bacteria in your gut microbiome push you to have that itch to socialize more, because it's good for them if they get more human exposure for their survival. So they essentially, in order for them to survive, they make you more extroverted.
So I guess we evolved together.
Absolutely. Other things, other really interesting things, especially on your personality, how it affects your personality. There's a lot of interesting studies that were done in this domain. Like, for example, there is this hypothesis that Toxoplasma gondii, which is a parasite, and it goes by the name of essentially it. There is this correlation that was found between people who were infected with this bug and the sort of their propensity to entrepreneurial success.
Okay, so how exactly does that work? Is it some characteristics that you often find in entrepreneurships or entrepreneurs that are getting exemplified in the conditions where this kind of biome is seen?
Essentially, this parasite affects like a third of the global population, and the hypothesis is that it affects your amygdala. It numbs your amygdala to a certain extent, and the amygdala is known to be your brain's fear center. So when your fear center is numb, you're better at taking risks, better at making risky decisions, and through that you might find more entrepreneurial success. What they statistically found was that your infection with, or latent infection with, this particular parasite increased your possibility of majoring in business by a 1.4 to 1.7%. So that's a statistic that backs it, which is crazy. What if you getting infected with a particular parasite is your key to becoming the next, I don't know, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, who knows?
So if you want a 6 feet blue eyes guy in finance, you need to feed him some bacteria.
Probably get him infected.
Put it like that, if you will. The other really interesting study that I came across was something called a personality transplant. Now, this is very interesting. Essentially, they did a fecal microbiota transplant, which is, so through this, they wanted to see how much your gut microbiome impacts your personality per se. And so they took infants who were labeled as exuberant or had traits that fit into that exuberance. They transplanted their fecal matter into rats, and guess what? Rats that were transplanted that fecal matter also started showing traits of exuberance. And the converse was also true, because from babies that were, inhibited or withdrawn, they showed those kind of personality traits. When they transplanted the fecal matter from those children into rats, even the rats showed that personality. So this is like a direct correlation between what what might your gut microbiome be composed of and what your personality trait is appears to the world, which is also equally crazy.
Do you think, based on all of this, we can analyze and predict the diversity of our gut microbiome? Like right now?
I think so. I think that's what we're trying to impress
Yeah.
through this, right? That there is that direct correlation. It might not be the only deciding factor, but there is a very, very big role because there is such a strong, profound correlation that's found.
And there is so much of an impact that we don't even fully know about yet or fully understand yet. Like I said, even just listening to like Dhyan explain some of it, like the bone relations, even the cardiac relations, they were so mind-boggling and so new. And who knows how much is out there left undiscovered? How many systems are there? How many changes are actually being affected? How many careers are made?
Absolutely. So that's it's been absolutely mind widening, horizon widening to know that your gut microbiome has so much of an impact on your everyday functioning. But I want us to now direct our attention to a very interesting metabolite which also has a lot of multifaceted effects, which is tyrosine.
Alright, so let's take a little bit of a redirect into something I know Zara is extremely passionate about, the gut microbiome and a seemingly random link, tryptophan.
The reason why I think tryptophan is so interesting is because its metabolism in the gut essentially decides the environment that is created, and that environment decides how possible it is for a tumor to develop. So it decides your tumor microenvironment essentially. So tryptophan is metabolized and it's shunted into multiple pathways, right? So there are three mainly, but in the context of tumor microenvironment, two are predominantly important. So one of them is the kynurenine pathway and the other is the indole pathway. The kynurenine pathway essentially does host-mediated immunosuppression. Now, if your immunity is suppressed, then it creates an environment where it's easy for the tumor to grow. On the other hand, if there is an indole dominant state where most of the tryptophan is shunted to the indole pathway, then you have essentially immunostimulation, which is good because it removes the tumor from your body. So tryptophan will be shunted to both these pathways, right? But what makes the decision here is which pathway predominates, whether it's the indole pathway, whether it's an indole predominant state, or whether it's a kynurenine dominant environment. And you know what decides this? What decides which pathway more kynurenine is shunted to?
Yeah, tell us.
The composition of your gut microbiome. The bacteria in your gut microbiome decide, kind of like their composition is what decides which metabolite this is shunted to. So it's crazy. It's kind of like a tug of war of checks and
Talking about checks and balances and everything of that sort, Dhyan, didn't you have something to say about?
Gut dysbiosis?
Yes.
Okay, so imagine this. Your gut is a very complicated ecosystem. There's something called a multi-feeding complex, where bacteria rely on each other to form different metabolites so that they can create their own nutrition, give us substances that help us. Now, any sort of disbalance in the number of species, the kind of species, or even the substances they produce can create something called a gut dysbiosis. This is a disbalance in the species of bacteria in your gut. So what can this do? Let me reference a study that I read about, done in the Japanese population, where they found that people who have diabetes mellitus have an increased gut bacteria species of Lactobacillus reuteri and Lactobacillus rhamnosus.
Okay.
But they have a decreased species of Bacteroides and Clostridium. So this is a very direct correlation between diabetes mellitus and your gut bacteria. So a dysbiosis of that simple level of a species that are so closely related and work together can create such a devastating effects as diabetes mellitus, having to rely on insulin for your entire life. Isn't that interesting?
and
That really is.
And this very same concept of gut dysbiosis also correlates directly to the tryptophan bit, because like I said, what determines which pathway the tryptophan is going to be shunted into? The composition of the bacteria in your gut microbiome. So what tips the balance is again this composition.
The
And-
ratio.
Exactly. So the system of checks and balances is what it's all about, I guess. Balance is what it's all about, actually.
Balance is what it's all about.
So I think what people are very curious to know about is how can they help improve this gut bacteria? How can they help facilitate this gut bacteria, make their life better? All these pathways we talked about, all these axes, how do they make use of it? I think a lot of people will try to sell you on something called prebiotics. You probably heard of it. They put it in everything. Your protein bars, your cereal, everything. Everything is a prebiotic thing now. Just eat your vegetables, you get your fiber. That's all the bacteria need. Complex, undigestible polysaccharides. That's your fiber. That's all they need. So eat your fiber, eat your vegetables, eat your beans. Eat whatever is readily available. You don't need your fancy protein bars with prebiotics.
So you're essentially saying that probiotics is the bacteria in your gut.
Yeah.
Prebiotics is what is food for the bacteria in your gut, which
Yeah.
you're saying comes through the form of fibers. Then what is postbiotics?
So postbiotics is a very up and coming term. It's basically what the metabolites that these bacteria produce about, like we've talked about, like short chain fatty acids is a very important one. So it's not something you can use for recreation. Scientists are currently using this to treat different kinds of diseases like osteoporosis, like we talked about. So I don't think our audience needs to worry about it yet. Let the researchers think about it. But you're probably also wondering how do probiotics even enter your gut? Don't they get corroded by the acid? Do you know what the answer for that is? It works to the same mechanism the viruses do, virulence factors. Something
Oh my
called a
God.
polysaccharide coating and proton pumps help them enter your gut, survive that HCl, and go through and ensure that your gut bacteria is healthy.
That is some resilient.
So
He's selling us probiotics and he's telling us to save our money on prebiotics.
Yes.
and the fact that I sell probiotics has nothing to do with this.
Okay, Dhyan.
But seriously, buy my probiotics. That's the only reason I came on the show.
All right. So that has been the Mad Scientist memo and everything about the gut microbiome. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. It was absolutely such an insightful and exciting episode.
Dhyan,
Thank
thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. It was an honor being on your podcast. And I think what I want to say to the audience is remember what Hippocrates said: all disease begins in the gut.
All disease begins in the gut. That's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you in the next one.
Yes.
Buy my
Bye, Dhyan.
probiotics.
Probiotics. The Mind Diet.